Then a guy named Victor Strazenek commented on a couple of my videos. He said he was able to identify tastytrade archives from March 2020 from one of the instructors. And I have to thank Victor for pointing this out. Victor even helped me investigate the portfolio and fill in some of the blanks as far as the research required to calculate the estimated drawdowns from the instructor. And this was no simple task, as it took many hours to do this. And I'll get into the details of the calculations a little later. But Victor has a very good grasp of the tastytrade philosophy and has made a couple tweaks to the system, and it looks like he's trading it profitably. Maybe he's figured out a way to make it profitable, but the main purpose here is to figure out if the tastytrade method works as advertised or as traded by the tastytrade instructors. The only way to know this is to take one of the instructor's accounts, the only one available that I could find, and run it through March 2020. And doing this is the most realistic approach to the truth that I could find. And in this case, the instructor that had some March 2020 archive material is Jim Schultz. And his show is called From Theory to Practice. Now, the basic tastytrade method is to use as many different trade structures and small positions to sell option premium. And they like to open positions based on IV rank, meaning they like to wait to sell premium when the volatility is elevated. And they even advocate selling naked shorts.
But ask any trader that's been trading for a very long time. Ask the more seasoned traders at the studio, and they will tell you undefined risk trades. If you want to have a successful career as an active trader, you have to graduate from defined risk trading to undefined risk trading.
The trade method is supposed to be non-directional, but around 5% of the time, maybe it's 1% of the time, but all it takes is once. And the trade structures become directional and correlated in order to become a major problem. And this correlation happens in what I refer to in my book as crash correlation. This is when all assets become correlated, and this is a very dangerous situation for a tastytrade portfolio, because when this happens, the portfolio is no longer diversified. And when you have a bunch of uncorrelated small positions and the market crashes, they combine to become one large directional short vega position. These correlated positions can take down your portfolio. And this is a weakness that gets exploited with this system, and it creates high drawdowns.
What I'm going to do is I'm just going to close it. I'm just going to close the trade. I'm just going to lick my wounds, and I'm just going to move on. And so let's go ahead and do that. This is obviously going to be, a very undesirable closing trade, right? When we put this trade on, I can assure you we did not sign up for, or we didn't think we were signing up for, closing out of an eventual straddle for a $32 debit. But once again, man, this is, it happens. We're in, this is what, 5-10 standard deviation move. I mean, this is crazy, right? This is the outlier of the outlier.
Next, I want to get into Jim's portfolio. And here you can see he started with $30,000 in the beginning of the year.
And my portfolio size, well, at least, to start the year was 30,000. It's probably a little bit less now.
Now, here is a spreadsheet I put together with Victor's help on the positions in Jim Schultz's portfolio in March of 2020. And you can see the portfolio on March 6th. You can see what was happening on March 6th, that the portfolio was down around 25%. Then after that, the portfolio was not addressed again until March 23rd. So I don't have any data. That's why I have the dates up here, March 6th and March 23rd. He was on fraternity leave. Can't really tell from looking at this spreadsheet, but the following positions were dropped from March 6th till the 23rd. And that was EWZ, GDXJ, GLD, IWM, MSFT, TLT, and XLU. So those stocks that I just mentioned, when he came back on March 23rd, they were no longer in the portfolio. He did go over 2 of those 7 that I just talked about. And on 2 of those 7, he closed those on March 18th and March 19th. So that left me with these 5 positions here, these 5 positions to kind of extrapolate, what happened to those, because he never referred back to those positions in the future, like from March 23rd on. He never referred back to what he did with these positions, these 5 positions, which were EWZ, GD, XJ, GLD, IWM, and Microsoft. So I had to extrapolate what happened with those. And so the best thing that I could do was extrapolate that those were also closed on the 18th and the 19th. Now I had to go back, we take GDXJ. I had to go back, find out when that position was put on, whenever that position was adjusted, and then I had to figure out how much premium was collected. And then I had to estimate, based on closing it on the 18th or the 19th. And I took the best case scenario. So if it was down on the 18th by $3,000 and it was down on the 19th by only $2,000, I just closed it on the 19th. I gave them the benefit of the doubt. I gave them the most favorable close. And you can see these are the estimated losses right here, these 5. So that was the only way I could really break down this portfolio and get legitimate, or as close as I could to legitimate P&L. I wish they would just show their P&L, but they don't. So you can see that this portfolio, starting with $30,000, was down around $14,800, down 50%. And that's just giving them the benefit of the doubt. So it's probably more than 50% down. And if you use the tastytrade method, you can see what can happen to your portfolio. And this is what happened to Jim Schultz's portfolio. And he's one of the instructors. So what does this mean, this 50% drawdown? Well, you can see the cost of drawdowns here. His portfolio is down 50%. Therefore, he needs to make a 100% return just to get back to even. Another reason I don't like the tastytrade method is because, according to Jim Schultz, their goal is not to make money.
My job, my number one priority on this show is not to make a bunch of money. It's not to trade my portfolio in the most optimal way. It's not to do any of that, which is good because I haven't done any of that.
And this is where I disagree with Jim, because I believe your number one goal should be to achieve the highest risk-adjusted returns possible in order to be qualified to teach how to trade. And I believe that they know their trading system does not work, so they don't want to make any promises. This is why they do not share their P&L. If they did show their P&L, do you think their subscriber base would go up, or would it fall like a rock?
When you sell premium as a premium seller, right, and you put yourself out there with undefined risk trades, which is where many of us feel like consistent success can be had, which I know sounds crazy right now. I know it sounds crazy. And if you guys are watching for the first time, right, if you guys just found From Theory to Practice and you just found me, and you're like, whoa, I don't know who this cat is, but he just lost $20 on a TLT trade, and now he just lost, $30 on an XLE trade, I'm not tuning back in, because this clown obviously has no idea what he's talking about. And you know what? Hey, I don't have much of a defense for that. I really don't, right? That's a very, very fair point of assessment and evaluation based on kind of what we have here.
Let me state that it may seem like I'm talking about Jim out of context, and maybe I am a little, but I think Jim Schultz is a very smart guy, and he means well, and we just disagree on our trading philosophies. And I think that the tastytrade method had garnered way, way too much credibility. And I have not seen anyone else bring out the specifics of the downside of the trading method like I have in this video. So I believe I have provided evidence that the trading method is dangerous for a portfolio. In fact, in some cases, it can take your account down 50% or more. And I made this video to bring caution to this type of trading. One of my goals here is to prevent people from just blindly following the tastytrade method. This trade method has serious flaws, and I hope I have explained it and provided enough proof here to help others understand what they're getting into before they trade like this. Like I mentioned before, I believe this is why they do not share their P&L. As far as education, tastytrade provides a very good service for free. As far as proof of concept in terms of trading for profit, I put them in the same category as all the other gurus. After watching tastytrade religiously for over 3 years, from 2014 to 2017, I was able to figure out that the method was not for me, but I was not sure how to communicate why until now. And I've known that there's been problems with this trading method for around 3 years, but I have not been able to properly point out the system's weakness until recently. And this video took about 6 hours of research and about 5 hours of writing the script and creating and editing this video. And I've recently spent around 11 hours on this video, but in reality, this video has been 3 years in the making. And if you think this information was helpful or interesting, all that I ask is that you subscribe, hit the like button, and sign up for my free course. And I put a link in the description below for my free course.